if you've ever had an opportunity where you have ever felt as if you were hiding from people, if you felt as like a perfectionist and as somebody was going to find you out, then today is the show that you need to be part of. Because today on the Everyday Leader, we're going to talk about what is imposter syndrome, how does it affect us, and then you know what? I'm going to give you some strategies on how to get over dealing, or not how to get over, but how to combat or how to deal with imposter syndrome in your life. Because I know, listen, I know that it is something that you and I struggle with, and otherwise you wouldn't be here listening to this. Matter of fact, during one of the studies that I read, they said up to 83% of people actually deal with imposter syndrome at some time. They feel like they're going to be found out. They feel as if this is the time, this is the place, and if somebody knew who I really was, if somebody who knew who I really was, then they would know, or they'd find out or discover that I'm an imposter. Has that ever been used? That's my question for right now, and I want you to do this in the chat, guys, as we do this. Have you ever struggled with the feeling that you, my friend, were an imposter? Like you felt like an imposter. Have you ever struggled with that feeling? I want you to drop that in the chat. Let's have a conversation and let's say hello to some of our friends as they jump on. Hello, Natalie. I want to ask you guys a question. I got new playthings. Can you hear this? We're going to do a crowd. Listen to this. Ooh, can you hear that? Did you hear that? Let's see. Yo, Sean. Good saying, my friend Sean. What's up? Let's cry. Can you hear the crowd? I'm playing with new things. So I've got a new things for sound. My brother told me I needed sound, so I put sound on there. So I don't know if you're hearing it. If you could hear those things, actually tell me in the chat, because I am playing with new hotness. Hear that? Oh, look at that. We got some music. We got some tunes. Look at this. We're actually turning into a real big show. Good greetings coming, Daryl. Good to see you guys. Uh-oh. We got show tunes. Oh, my goodness. Well, let's go ahead and jump in to today. And as we jump in today, let me just welcome each and every one of you guys. If you notice, we are at a new time. We are not at the right time, or we're actually at our right time. I actually did a survey to where I said, hey, what would be a better time for you guys to be part of the live? And you guys said 5 was too early, so we moved it down according to what you wanted. So we do go live at every Friday, but it's going to be at 7 from now on out, because I want to make sure that we are meeting your needs, because this is all about you guys. This is about who you are. This is about training you to be a leader worth following. So this is about you. And as I pull up my there it goes, my stuff behind the scenes. Forgot to pull up the PowerPoint. Nobody knows though, right? But here we go. Let me tell you one thing. We are going to ask questions live. So if you have any questions as I go through this is how this works. We will have you just put them in the chat. I'm going to throw them up on screen, and we'll go ahead and answer them live. Let's go ahead and jump in. I am doing the thing. So you ever have those moments where you're just trying to do something and all of a sudden everything else breaks? But while we're doing that, let's just listen to a little bit of music here. A little bit of dancing. As I pull up my PowerPoint, guys, on the Everyday Leader. We're just having some fun. Listen, I could be a DJ, guys. Did you know that? Like, my goodness. And here we go. All right, guys, I'm loving this. I am loving this. So here we go. We're pulling this up. You know, there's always technical difficulties at times, right? But this is the point where it's not going to be technical anymore, because now we've got it all settled. Here we go. Ready for this? In the chat, tell me you're ready. Let me know that you're ready. Let's turn up the chat so I can see you guys. Oh my gosh, I definitely suffer from this. This is what we got. Let's say, it says, I suffer from this, always waiting for the second shoe to drop. You know, that's actually a common thing, that second shoe moment where you just think that one day that you're going to have that time where you, my friends, are going to be that second shoe. But guess what? You are not the second shoe, because I'm going to tell you how to combat imposter syndrome. And also, as we do this, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you tell me that you can see this on the screen, because last week I had an opportunity to do this, and my wife said you couldn't see some of the things. Well, now you can see some of the things. So we're dealing with imposter syndrome. We're back on track and we're ready to roll. Oh, you're born ready. I love this. And listen, I'm loving this.
I don't care.
I don't care, right? Okay, we got new toys. So let me get here while you're here. Let's jump into this. We're dealing with imposter syndrome. Here what it is. Let me start with this, guys. Feeling like an imposter is not the same thing as being an imposter. Let's start with that. Being an imposter is not the same thing as feeling like you're an imposter. Listen, I need to start here because there are times in our lives when we feel like we're imposters, guys. We feel like this whole thing, if people found us out, like Freddie Ruger there said, if the other shoe drops, or some of you guys are like, man, I'm not as good as others think I am. So if they just knew the real me, they would never really follow me, right? You ever have those feelings? But feeling like that is different than actually being that. There are people out there, there are fake gurus out there, guys, who are trying to be everything and get you to buy their stuff, and they're really not what they say. You join their programs and everything, and there's like, not what I thought it was, right? And then there's people who are legitimately talented, who are legitimately like amazing, like all you guys who are watching, like just absolutely amazing. But you're like, I don't feel amazing. And I don't feel like I'm a rock star. And I don't feel as if I'm this person who is going to be able to do this thing. How you feel is not the same as actually being it. And we've got to realize that, because our feelings can inform us of lies, right? Because we can feel things that aren't true and then believe the mistruth. And I want you to understand, I want you and I to get on the same page, because I want you to understand that you are, if you're here, you're a leader worth following. And you, my friends, are a rock star. You, my friends, are somebody who somebody is going to look to, and you're going to change their lives. Write that in the comments for me. Like, I'm a life changer. You're a transformational person. Just write that in the comments. Like, I change lives, right? I want you to declare that, and that's going to be important later on when you guys write it now. But here's the thing. So you really think about this. Let's pull this back a little bit. So you think about this. Imposters are, this is just feelings we have, and it's usually rooted in somebody who's had an issue at growing up. You have low self-esteem somewhere, like somebody really told you something not right. Somebody told you were worthless. Somebody abused you. Somebody pushed you around. Somebody did something. Somebody bullied you, and you started believing the press. You started believing that you were not good enough. And I want to show you something, guys. Last week I said I was going to do this, so let's introduce the new soapbox moment. See, we've got the soapbox moment. So I want to jump on the soapbox moment for a second, and to do that, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, hold on one second. Let's pull me up. Boom, I'm back. We're going to jump on our soapbox moment. See, we're increasing the ability with this show all the time. Listen, I'm going to jump on the soapbox. Somebody hurt you, and somewhere in your heart you believed it. Somewhere in your heart, somebody said you weren't good enough, and your heart said, you're right, I'm not good enough. And for X amount of years, it could be 10, 5, whatever that amount of years, maybe it's 30, 40, all those things. And you just began to believe it over and over, and you began to say, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough. And you know what? Your heart began to speak a mistruth, began to speak a lie, and you began to believe the lie. And now, this much years later, you're still believing a lie because somebody at your youth hurt your feelings. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was somebody at school, but they hurt you to the point where now you deal with the life of an imposter. And I'm going to tell you, we don't have imposters on this show, right? We have people who feel like this. Listen, we've got life changers all over the place. And as you see on the screen, that people change lives. And I love it because Sean came out of nowhere. He says, I'm a rock star. Yes, you are. You are a total rock star, because I think you're a rock star and you actually play music. So you are a rock star. But here's the thing, guys. That's what it comes down to, is you, my friends, are at a place in your life and you're ready to get over it. You're ready to get past that. And we need to understand that you are no longer going to be a person who listens to the lie. We're going to listen to the truth. And I'm going to give you 5 strategies on how to overcome this. Now, make sure you tell me that you can see these things right here. You can tell me if you see the screen, because I want to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. And I'm going to pull it back this way so it can be a little bit better on the visuals. So here's the thing. So here are signs, just signs. Let's talk about signs that you may be an imposter, right? Or it may feel like an imposter. You're dealing with imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. Number one, you have trouble accepting praise, right? You have trouble accepting praise. Like if somebody comes up to you and you're like, man, you're awesome. And you're like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Right? Or if you're somebody who comes up and you're sitting there like, and somebody's just trying to praise you the best, you're an awesome doing great work. And you're like, no, I'm not. I could do better. If you have trouble accepting praise, if you feel like your whole life has been just a bunch of luck, listen, I am a believer in Jesus Christ. I don't know if you are. If you're not, you're welcome on this show, but I am. So I don't believe in luck, right? But see, here's the thing. If you're an imposter, if you deal with imposter syndrome, you feel that your whole life has just been one string of lucky events and that it's not anything to reflect of your talent or your ability. Number three, you apologize for everything. Like you think everything is your fault, even if it's not your fault. Like global warming is not your fault, right? And you're like, I'm sorry, it was all my fault, right? It goes extreme sometimes. Or number four is you're afraid to be discovered. Now I want to talk about this for a second. This I think is the number one marker for imposter syndrome. Because if you are in feeling these things, remember the first thing I talked about was the difference between feeling like an imposter and being an imposter. Listen, you can feel like this, but you have to determine that you're not an imposter, right? But feeling like you're going to be afraid, what are you afraid of? What are you really afraid of that is like really getting you? Like, where are you in your walk? Where are you in your life that you think somebody is going to find out? That you think that somebody is somehow going to say, hey, I'm this person, and if they find out who I really am, they're not going to follow me. What makes you think that's a thing? And if they do find out, so what? And they don't like you, so what? You are an amazing gift. You are an amazing person created by God for a purpose on this earth. And if somebody don't like you, that's okay. Because there's 500 people waiting for somebody like you to show up. Because you, my friend, listen, I need you to be right here with me. I want you to say, you, my friend, are somebody who has got somebody's breakthrough. And if when you show up, you are going to set people free. And if you keep feeling like an imposter, if you keep feeling like somebody who's like, I'm just never going to show up. They're just not going to, whatever story you tell yourself, then you come to a place where you're going to disqualify yourself from changing lives. And that's not who you are. Cause I know it. Cause everybody in the chat already said I'm a life changer. And then the one said I'm a rock star, which is all the same. Right. And I love the transparency and the honesty. So let's jump into this. And as you guys do this, we're playing with new things on the screen. If you see this, and as you guys do this, you're going to see your comments come up on the side, and I'm going to play with that a little bit, but that's okay because we're playing with all sorts of great things. So we're great. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who are being honest and chatting. That's for all of you guys. We got the new things. So here we go. 5 things we're going to talk about. Number 1, these are strategies, guys. These are strategies on how to overcome imposter syndrome. And if you do one of these, if you do any one of them, if you do just one, there are 5 and there's a bonus. So there's technically 6, right? There's 6, but there's a bonus. But I want you to tell you, if you do any one of them, don't try to do all 6. If you do any one of them, you will change your life. And I say this every show. One thing accomplished, one thing implemented is better than 40,000 things known. Stop getting so smart that you do nothing and you're still struggling with the things you've been struggling with for your whole life. Begin to implement something and change your life so you can change other lives. That's just the way it goes. Change your life so you can change other people's lives. To do that, you're going to first and foremost create a brag book. Yeah, we're going to create a brag book. But you're like, I don't know. I'm an imposter. I don't like doing stuff like that because you know what? I don't like praise. I don't even like self-praise. I'm so sorry. It's like, ooh, right? We're getting to these places where we're like, I don't even like, but you need a book. I don't matter what book. I mean, I got this thing here. Look, let me show you this. I got this thing. This thing here is an incredible book. And what it is it literally is an erasable book that I can do right and then put it up on Google Drive and all that stuff. And then I write in there and I'm like, hey, how did I win today? What did I do? And then you know what happens? Here's the kicker with this, guys. Here's the kicker. Once you have a series of wins, when you feel like a failure, when you feel like an imposter, guess what? You go back to your win book and you say, wow, I win more than I feel like I lose. I win more than I feel like anything else. And that is what you need to do. Get a notebook and just start filling it out, right? Like, I love what Natalie said on the screen. I got a notebook for it, just got to fill it out right here on this thing at 7:17 on 2/26. Natalie, I want you to write down in that book that you showed up to a live on how to overcome imposter syndrome. Guess what? That was a win. Write it down, right? Just get it out now and do it. You know, don't click off the live because there's 4 other things I want to show you. But here's the deal. Write it down and write your wins. It's better to do it now than to save it for later. It is. And the thing is with this is we all need to be reminded of wins. We all need to be reminded of our wins, guys. That's really what it comes down to. If you're not constantly reminded of your wins, you will be reminded of your failures. If you're not constantly reminded of your wins, you will be reminded of your failures. And if you're reminded of your failures, then what happens with this thing, I'm going to do this one more time. Let's do this. Let's go on our, I love clicking these buttons. These buttons are cool. I'm going to hit in our new little section right here, my friends. And it's called my soapbox moment. So where's my soapbox? Let's look. Soapbox moment. Here, I want to tell you this, guys. I want to tell you this. If you are somebody who is all you can think about is your losses, all you can think about is how you failed, and you completely missed all of your wins, and you're sitting there every day looking at your failures, how do you think you're going to feel? How do you think your business is going to reflect that? How do you think your marriage will reflect that? How do you think your life will reflect that if all you can think about is the problems you had? And I'm going to tell you, you don't need to look for problems because there's plenty of people out there that tell you about your problems. And you know what? I don't need to listen to them. I need to go back to my book. I need to go back to the things that is, I am a winner and I am going to win. And if you guys are having trouble winning, I can send you my winner's mindset ebook. And in that ebook, it talks about how to win, right? And I could send that to you. Just drop me in the comments, and after the chat, I will send that to you. But here's the deal. You are a winner. If you're not declaring your wins, nobody else will. So you need to get into a place, into a habit where you're declaring the time when you're winning, right? That's what it comes down to. Declare it. And it is so right there, Freddie. It's like Jim Soapbox Burgoon. Hey, listen, I like my soapbox moments. I don't have a real soapbox, so I've got to do it on the screen because we just had our soapbox moment. I'm going to get a sound to go with that introduces our soapbox moment. Maybe I just do a cinematic sound. That doesn't seem to work. Hold on. There you go. As the intro of the Marvel. I love Marvel. The intro to the soapbox moment. But regardless, you and I need to come to a place where we have wins. And we're writing those wins down. So remember, guys, write the wins down. And when you feel low, go back and read how you've been winning. That's number one. That's the first thing that you and I have got to get a hold of. If we're going to win this battle of imposter syndrome, if you're going to combat imposter syndrome, then you need, I need, we need, you desire to get a place where you can do a brag book, and your brag book is your declaration to the world that says, I am a winner. Actually, it's not even to the world, but to yourself. Every time you feel low, every time you feel as if you're falling apart, every time if somebody says something mean to you and your heart says you're right, you look back to that book, you say, you know what? According to the 559 wins that I've got in my book and against the one thing that you said, I'm a winner. That is what the problem is. You don't have the documentation of your wins. So when somebody hurts your feelings, there's a problem because now you can't combat it because now isn't it funny that you have, like, you can say 10 things that are positive, and as soon as somebody says one thing negative, you're going after the one thing negative and it becomes your thing? That's the problem. Well, let's get over the problem and get into a place where we are focusing on our wins, right? So that was number one. We see, you could just like mic drop it right there. We're going to blow this out of the water. I know I got people saying they're loving the sounds. We're blowing it out of the water. That's what it comes down to, guys. I'm enjoying this, guys. This is like way too much fun for me. I'm so glad the sound works. I was so afraid of it. But let's go to number two. Are you ready for number two? Are we ready for number two? I'm ready for number two. Number two here is to develop. Can we switch that? Let's switch that. Can you see that? Oh, can you see that right now? Do I have number 2 on the screen? Because if I have number 2 on the screen, it should say develop a response plan. Develop a response plan. So here's the bottom line with this, guys. I think there's a lot of times when we're in a crisis moment, we don't have a plan, right? We don't have a plan. If you were in a fire, you have a plan, right? If the house starts firing, we grab the kids, we grab the essentials, and we walk out the right door where the fire isn't. We have a plan. If in my life, in me and my family's life, we deal with mental illness. If there is ever a time where we deal with, like suicidal tendencies or any of that, we have a plan. We get out there and we do, hey, if this type of thought or action comes up, we do these things. If you have a doctor's problem, if you have like an autoimmune disease or something, if something comes up, you say, this is my plan. Why do we have plans for all of these things and we don't have plans for our mental health? And we don't have plans for our emotional health? Why is it that we have all of these type of plans, but the one place we need a plan, the most place we need a plan, is a place that we really don't have a plan? And that's navigating through our mental and emotional health. So if you're at a place where you're feeling low, you're feeling like an imposter, you're facing depression, you're facing challenges, you're facing struggles, why do you not have a response plan? Where did your response plan go to? Wait a minute, I know, we don't create one because we don't think it's important. We just suffer in silence through it. I'm going to talk about suffering in silence at a different point, but we suffer in silence through it and we just wait for it to go past. But what if you and I had a plan, like a 2 or 3 step plan that said, if this happened, I'm going to do this, this, and this to help me overcome it. Because guess what? If you fail to plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right? That's a John Maxwell quote. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So here's the deal. If you want to get over imposter syndrome, not even get through it, combat it quicker, then here is what you need. You need an action plan that says, when I feel this, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And it could be simple. Let's talk about simple. Well, actually, as I'm doing this, what would you put in your plan? Say that in the comments, guys. What would you put in your plan if you had a plan to help you overcome depression action, that is incurred by imposter syndrome? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments, and I'll go right back to that with some steps on a plan. But I want to say this first while you're writing some comments. But here's the thing. If you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. And I want you to really get into this thing. And I like how my brother here said, my brother Sean said this. He said, listen, do you think Tom Brady focuses on interception he's thrown or games he's lost or championships rings he's won? Man, I'm like loving that thing. But the deal is that Tom Brady doesn't go out onto the field and sit there and say, well, I don't really know how we're going to do this. No, he has a plan. He has a strategy. He has the plan of attack. What is your plan? What are you going to do today that's going to help you plan? So here's some things that I would say add to your plan. If you suddenly feel as if you're in an imposter syndrome moment, who are you going to call? What Bible, for all you Bible believers, what Bible verse are you going to run to? What person can I call to help me say, get over my crap, right? Get over the junk. Who can you call? What verse can you go to? What environment change can you do? This has to already be thought through before you enter into, right? It already has to be thought through before you enter into. Because if I don't think through the things that I'm entering into, then guess what? I'm going to enter into it with no plan and I'm going to fail. And I don't want you to fail. You don't want you to fail. But if you don't want to fail and I don't want you to fail, then guess what? It comes down to a place where you and I both have to get to a place where we're planning out the thing. So let's see what a little Natalie says, because she said little, so I read little. So got at least a little birdie that checks on me regularly. Yep, your baby checks on you regularly. Needing to write out my plan though after the move and have it on display. Absolutely love that. Having it on display and the constant reminder is always a positive, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, right? If you don't see it, you won't ever do it. So definitely put it on there. And I love it. The little birdie being your son. We love that. Sean says this here. He says, guess what? He says, life is a series of peaks and valleys. Focus on some of them peaks. Yeah, you ain't kidding, man. Focus on the peaks. Do you think the people who went up Mount Everest, looked at the bottom and said, well, I'm done. You know, they look at the top and said, that's where I'm going. So when you're in these places where you need to plan and you need to have a plan, and again, as I do these things, please make sure that you tell me if this is on the screen, because I always want to make sure that this is on the screen for you guys, because I'm still working through some of this. So here's the thing. So if you have a plan and you know the plan and you see the plan, you can put the plan into place. And when you put the plan into place, when you feel the thing, you know what to do and how to respond to it. And that's really what it comes down to, guys. That is really what it comes down to. So let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is visualize success. Can we talk about this? And we're going to say visualize success. Oh, right? We're loving this, right? We're loving it. Listen, I'm having way too much fun with these sounds. And I'm going to get more sounds and we're going to have more fun. So here's the deal. So we're going to talk about visualizing success. You cannot become what you see. You become what you see. So you cannot become what you don't see. So if you can't see it, you don't become it. That's how this works. If you don't see it, you can't become it. Most people don't have a vision about their life. Most people just see what's in front of their face. And if you're going through it, that's what people see. When you're depressed, all you say, man, I'm so depressed. I'm so sick. I'm so this, right? If you're somebody who wants to get better, wants to overcome, wants to combat, whatever it is in your life, whatever it is, whether it be, that imposter syndrome or whatever, you need to see what the end looks like. Have the end in mind. And you look at it and say, who do I want to be in a year? Not who I am now. Not who I am right now. Listen, this is all about visualizing this thing, right? This is all about getting into a place where I can see the thing that I want to become, right? So I want to visualize what's happening. I want to visualize what's down the road. I don't want to visualize what's in front of me, because if I visualize what's in front of me and what I'm going through, I become what I'm going through. But I want to become what I'm going to. So to become what I'm going to, I've got to actually see it. It's got to be in clear focus. So I've got to take time and think about it. I've got to, even in the middle, if you don't think about it in the good times, you will not think about it in the bad times. Listen, hashtag wisdom bomb right there. If you don't think about it in the good times, you will not think about it in the bad times. So during your time, during your place of ups, during your place of peaks, during your place of amazing feelings of greatness, think about who you were becoming. And then in your little brag book, that was number 1, in your little brag book, write down who you're becoming. And then in this time of great distress, when you're afraid that somebody's going to find you, somebody's going to figure you out, in those times, you get to a place where you say, hey, I want to be this. I'm going to be this. You can read it. And then what happens is, guess what? I begin to see what I'm becoming. And if I can see what I'm becoming, then guess what happens? I become the thing I'm going to see, because at that point, I'm beginning to speak what I see. And if I speak what I see, I become what I see. So if I become what I see, then I'm overcoming imposter syndrome, because no longer am I living in my junk. I'm moving to where I want to be. Listen, if you've ever had kids, right? I'm going to tell you, this is kind of gross out. You have kids. I have kids. Most of us have children, right? When a children is a baby, they poop. They just kind of sit there in their poop, right? They don't tell you about it sometimes. Sometimes they cry and they're like, hey, I don't like the poop. But sometimes they sit in it and they don't say nothing, because it's there, it's theirs, whatever it is, right? And they'll just sit there and you're like, wow, that smells bad. Wow, I need to change you. And you're like, why didn't you cry about that? Imagine that being an adult. Not saying you're going to poop in yourself. I mean, this is not what we're saying, but imagine this. We sit in our junk all the time. We sit in that junk where our insecurities, our inferiorities, our places of insignificance, and we sit in it for so long that it becomes part of our identity, that we're afraid to change it because we're afraid of becoming someone more than we are. And so we sit in the junk, we sit in the crap, and we sit there and we say, this is all I ever known. Well, if that's all you've ever known, it's time to visualize where you want to be, so that you can get rid of what you've always known, because what you've always known isn't always working for you. And if it isn't always working for you, it's time to change it. So visualize your future, visualize where you want to go, and understand that you become what you see. You become what you see, guys. Let's take a moment here, and we're gonna pop this off for 1 second. Like, boom. We got me back on the screen. Welcome to, let me just reset this moment for all you guys who are new. And we're going to say here, let's see. It says, Sean says, when I'm down, I go to Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Absolutely. Also like this, he getting the love, right? I love that. Sit in our crap. Truth. We sit in our crap all the time. And for you guys who are new to the stream, maybe you've been around a little bit, maybe you think, let me just tell you this. I know we've been talking about this for a little bit. I'm Jim. This is the Everyday Leader Live. We go live every single Friday. We've moved times. Now it's 7 o'clock as opposed to 5, but we go live every Friday, 7 p.m. because that's what you've asked us to move time so that you can be here. And I want you to tell you that this whole thing is for leadership development because we want you to be a leader worth following in whatever context you lead in, whether it be your home, your business, or your church. We want you to be the best leader possible. So you want you to be a leader worth following. And that's why we do this every single week, every single Friday. We do this live. And guess what? I want to tell you, we drop videos and I've already planned out the content for all of March. We drop videos every week on the channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel over here on YouTube, I'll ask you to go ahead and subscribe it. And do me a favor. If this content ever speaks to somebody, please invite them to the channel. Tell them to subscribe and watch the videos because I do this because I want to add value to you. And as always, I want to tell you this before we get into the next one. We answer questions live, right? We answer these live because I want to answer live and give value because this is about community building. I don't want to just send you to another program. I want to be here and interact with the people who show up because you guys rock and you guys are leaders and you're becoming a leader worth following. So we're so grateful for each and every one of you guys being here. Are we ready to jump into number 4? And we're going to roll down on our, next one on our list of how to change, how to go over and get through imposter syndrome. And I do want to say before I go into number 4, I want to shout out my mentor here on YouTube, my friend and my brother, Owen Video. He's like, yo, look, sir, we're so grateful that you're here. He has taught me everything I know about YouTube, and we're growing and we're having a great time doing it. He's my mentor. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to know how to grow YouTube or anything like that, I'm going to do a shout out. Let's hit up because he is the person to talk to. And then we've got, of course, Teresa on here as well. Love it. Then them Hemthaps over there. Love these guys. Follow their channels. If you're looking to grow your YouTube, these are the experts. These are the only ones I'll recommend because they've helped me and changed my life so much. So we're doing shameless plugs here because that's what we do here on the Everyday Leader is we help you become the leader worth following because guess what? You want to be a leader worth following, so you need to learn how to get your message out. Those two people will help you get on YouTube. So let's just do that. So let's jump into number 4. We ready for this? I am so ready. And guess what? We've got the whole thing. We're going to do this and we've got sound. Woo! We're upgrading in the world here, guys. We are so upgrading. I am enjoying this. So here's another thing. If you're getting over imposter syndrome, I want you to remember, you're only doing 1. So you've heard 3 of them. This is number 4. Let's break the silence. But you only need to do 1 of them, right? Pick 1. Now, I would love for you to do more of them because the more you do, the stronger you get. But if you do 1 of them, one thing implemented is better than a whole lot of things known. So let's stop being so intelligent and let's start being life transformational and do the things we're supposed to do. And if you, my friends, are going to break, if you're going to combat, if you're going to overcome imposter syndrome, my friends, then break the silence. Guess what? This is one of the challenging ones because we like to suffer in silence. Darkness is strongest when there is no light. We like to suffer in silence. So we feel like an imposter. We feel like we're imperfect. We feel like all of these things, guys. But guess what? If you bring light into the darkness, if you for one moment open the door, the light shines, darkness no longer has power over you. And what happens is you and I get into these places where we are just sitting in darkness and we sit and suffer in silence. That is not what we were meant to do, guys. We were never meant to suffer in silence, right? I think that somehow makes us strong. We think that somehow that suffering in silence makes us strong. But I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't make you strong. It makes you stupid. All right, we're just going to be really strong here. All right, so we're going to have a sound that's going to go with this, but I haven't picked the sound yet. So we're going to go on the soapbox moment for a moment, and we're going to go let's lean in here for a second. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to hear the heart behind this. So we're on the soapbox moment, right? We think that we want to be so strong. So we have this place of invulnerability. We have this place of, I will suffer and I will get through this and nobody can know, because somehow if somebody knows, they'll really find me out. So what do you think when you suffer in silence this happens? What do you think's happening? You're only strengthening your imposter syndrome, because now you're afraid of people finding out you being weak, which is only supercharging your feelings of imposter, right? And if you're supercharging your feelings of imposter syndrome, then what's it doing is the darkness is grabbing hold of you and it's keeping you in darkness. Do you know how you break darkness? You shine light. You know how you shine light? You begin to talk about your stuff. You don't have to do it with everybody. You do it with somebody though. Just somebody. Because not everybody has your best interest at heart. Let's just get into this place and understand that not everybody has your best interest at heart. That's true. So you don't need to talk to it with everybody. So let's get that out of our head. But you got to find someone. You got to find someone who you can see, who you, number one, trust. Right? Number two, who is very, like, if you're a believer, I'm a believer, guys. I don't ever hide that. If you're not a believer, you're welcome on my channel, because we want to speak to leaders. But if you're a believer, guess what? You were never meant to be alone either. Right? So it's just not Jesus and I. God put people in our lives. So what do we need to do? We need people. So number one, you need to trust somebody. And you need to understand, you and I we want to do it. Like secretly, I'm going to tell you, secretly, we're screaming out inside saying, I want somebody to know my pain. But somewhere inside, you were hurt. And because you were hurt, you're like, I have to have this armor. Well, maybe it's time to get past the armor and say, who can I trust with this secret? Who can I trust with allowing them to bring light into my life? Because if they bring light, then darkness no longer has anything on me. And if darkness no longer has anything on me, then I'm stronger for it. And again, it doesn't have to be everybody, but it has to be somebody. And we want you, my friends, to be a leader worth following. We want you to be healthy. Let's just even go beyond leaders worth following. Just say, we want you to be healthy. We want you to be a healthy leader. And to do that, you've got to let the light in. Let's stop getting into our armored boxes when we're sick or when we're tired or when we're feeling like imposters, and open up the doors and saying, who can I invite into this place of my life? Because that is the place where you're going to find the greatest strength. It's because we were always meant to journey together. And the reason why imposter syndrome gets so strong is we feed it. We allow it to rest in darkness. We stay quiet because we never break the silence. And because we never break the silence, nobody knows that we're suffering. So if nobody knows you're suffering, who can pray for your suffering? Who can speak into your suffering? Or better yet, who can hug you when you're suffering, even if you don't need to ever say a word? Even if it's a virtual hug because of all the stuff happening. That you and I need people in our lives. That's just what it comes down to, guys. That's just what it's about. And you know what? Can we just get this out? I'm so loving this, guys. I'm loving it. Like, here you go. Oh, I don't know what that was, but that was a weird sound, right? Anyway, but this is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is you need to break the silence. So here's what we did. So we brought down the first four, right? We went down four things. So you should have grabbed one thing. So we're going to go to number 5 here in a second. So in the comments, I want to just hear what one spoke to you so far out of the 4 that we've just talked about, right? And if you need a reminder, some of you guys have just shown up on the screen. Let's see, I love this. See, number 1 was create a brag book, right? Number 2 was develop a plan. Number 3 is visualize success. Number 4 is break the silence. Which one spoke to you the most so far? Just drop those in the comment. Which one spoke to you the most? Because we're going to jump into number 5. Because I want to hit you up, and I'm going to give you probably one that has spoken in my life the most. And I think this is going to speak to your life the most. But I want to see, maybe you already got one. Maybe you're like, I got my one. I'm going to do this one. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's drop it down. Are you ready for number 5? Number 5. Number 5 is simply this. Develop a new script. Develop a new script. So guess what, guys? A lot of you guys are saying break the silence has been a big one for you guys, right? We got break the silence coming in. But I'm going to tell you, number 1 for me that has changed my life is developing a new script. It's always been developing a new script because guess what? Your words dictate your life. Your words frame your life, right? Your words frame it, guys. So the thing is speak a better word. Speak a different word. If there's power, life, and death in your tongue, most of us are speaking death over ourselves. Why? I feel like an imposter. I'm sick. I'm stupid. Right? We say these things. So here's the deal. We need to, like my brother Sean just said, we need to flip the script, guys. We need to flip the script. Why? What do we do with that? We, instead of saying, man, I'm so stupid, you sit there and you say, man, I could have found a better way to do that. What can I do differently? You start flipping the script. You start speaking a better word, and you speak life over yourself. And I'm going to tell you, where there is life, death cannot, coexist. Where there is light, no darkness can survive. So if you want light, if you want life, then you need to speak life, and you need to bring light into your life. And if that's going to be the case for you, then a lot of us need to change the way we talk. And you may not even realize it. You've probably been talking so negative in your life for so long that you probably don't even realize that you're still talking a negative script, that your words, your whole internal script has been negative. Woe is me, this, and this, right? But now I'm going to tell you, remember we talked about the last one, break the silence, right? One of the beauties of the silence is the fact that we get to a place where we can have somebody speak into our lives and say, hey, listen, I got a blind spot. And because I've been through so much trauma, because I've been through so much pain, because I carry so much insecurity, right? That I can legitimately allow you to speak into my life, that when you see it, don't let me sit in it, but speak to me and tell me that I'm talking junk and I need to change my words. Give somebody permission. Are you brave enough? Are you brave enough to give somebody permission to say hard things to you? That's going to be the key. And we need to develop a new script. We need to speak a better word over ourselves, because guess what? The word that you speak over yourself is the word that frames your life. And if it's the word that frames your life, then that's the word you live by. So if you want a better life, speak a better word, because the better frames begin to give better lives, and better lives will operate at higher levels. So if your business is suffering, if your life is suffering, look at the words you speak over yourself and begin to speak a better word. So let's look at some of you guys here in the chat. I love this, man. We firing it up. So my friend over there on Facebook, Jessica, she said yes and amen. One that spoke to her was break the silence. I'm going to tell you what, a lot of you guys have said break the silence was the one that really hit you home. We do have my wife there, my honey. I'm so loving you, man. We love you. I love my wife, and we're going to have her on a show at some point. Ooh, I said something right there. We were like, wow. Wasn't that cool? And so, we got to turn that sound off. I got to remember to turn them off sometimes. Listen, and we got my brother here says he's going to visualize. Sean says, flip the script. My wife, again, with the wisdom, she says positive affirmations. And then, of course, Natalie, who is a good long friend of the channel and actually a client of mine. Visualizations are so powerful. I know we got some wisdom from my brother Daryl. Break the silence really speaks to me because it's so easy for me to be silent and suffer in silence. My goodness, you speak to what every man suffers from, guy. We suffer because we think we're going to be so tough. So yes, break silence is a huge one. And then here we go, the missus, she's just laughing. Jim, I can tell how many times you say stuff my therapist tells me. Oh my goodness. Well, we joke about this, like with the therapist thing. A lot of people will tell me like, my therapist says that all the time. I said, then you're paying the wrong person. Just let's go here, right? All right, let's go into number 5. You guys ready for number 5? We just did number 5. Are you guys ready for the bonus before we end? And remember, as we do this, I want to remember and remind you, if you have any questions, if you want me to clarify anything on this stream, just drop them in the comment. I love the interaction. You guys are my people. I love you being here. I want to interact with you. I want to answer your questions live because you matter to me. That's why I do these, to add value to your life, because I want you to be a leader worth following, guys. That is the whole purpose of this channel. That is every bit that we do here on the Everyday Leader, is to create somebody, a leader like you, who is worth following. There's lots of people who lead out there, but are you worth following? Is your character good enough? Is your life matched to that place where people can follow you? I want you to be a leader, no matter what context you're in. No matter if you're a church leader, a home leader at home, or a leader in your business, you have to be a leader worth following. And leaders worth following are leaders who have great amount of influence and even greater impact because you've taken that time to get into the places where you become that leader worth following. And we do this every Friday, guys. I'm going to hit you up with a bonus, so don't go anywhere yet. Just stay for 1 second. I just want to share. We do this every Friday. We're going to be doing it at 7 p.m. And I do upload weekly videos on the channel. And we got some really cool things coming out for March. But I do want to tell you, at the end of the day, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe, hit the like button, because it not only helps me out, but it's going to notify you whenever I go live, whenever I put a video up, because every bit of these are for you so that you become that leader worth following. And guess what? It's all about leadership development, because that's who we are. So let's jump into the last one. We're going to jump into the bonus. I keep saying numbers, but we're going to do the bonus. Right? We're going to do the bonus here. Let's jump into the bonus section. And the bonus comes into reframe your thoughts. And this kind of goes into what we were just talking about with the fact that, the last one dealt with develop a new script. The one before that said break the silence. So in the fact that you're going to break silence and you're going to develop a new script, we want to reframe your thoughts. We want to reframe your thoughts, because here's the deal. Context is everything. Put your life in proper context. If you feel like a failure, if you feel like an imposter, put your life, put your moment, put that failure in context, right? If you have a brag book, you can just pull out your brag book and you can sit there and say, I've got 48 things in that category that says I'm a winner. So this one thing just means I'm going to learn better instead of being a failure, right? If you've got that, you just put it in proper context, because proper context creates proper understanding in your life. And when you have proper understanding, you are no longer going to face imposter syndrome, because you realize failures are not there to trip you up, but to cause you to learn and be more successful. That's what failures are truly for. It's to help you be more successful. If you learn from them and you don't fall under them. Right? The only time you ever fail is if you don't get up, and you need to get up every time. Just get up and dust yourself off and put everything in context. Yes, people are going to hurt you. Yes, people are going to say things that are going to be very hurtful, very mean, things like that. Sometimes my heart is going to agree with you and I'm going to believe a lie, but then I've got to step back and put it in proper context. Am I really that person? Am I really that person who's a failure? Am I really that person who is never going to change lives? Am I really that person? Now you say that with, am I really that whatever? And then start to put it in the context, because the context you put it in is the context in which you will live your life by. So if we're going to speak a better word, if we're going to have our brag books, it all comes down to reframe your thoughts in a proper, positive learning manner that says, yeah, I messed up, but I'm learning from my mistakes. And if you're a leader who's worth following, you're somebody who learns from your mistakes, and are not crippled by them. Let me say that one more time. You're a leader who learns from their mistakes and is not crippled by them, right? So be a leader worth following. Don't be crippled by your mistakes, and put everything in the proper context. And as we do this, I'm going to answer any questions. And Sean asked this: do you think that silent suffering is caused by our fear of feeling vulnerable or weak? Yes, and a little bit more than that. This is a great question, and one that actually gets asked a lot, and I may even do a video on this general, so I'm going to write that down. So here's the thing. Do you think it's caused by our fear of feeling vulnerable? Yes, but why do you feel vulnerable? That's the bigger question. Remember, every question should lead to something deeper. And the depths of it is you fear rejection, right? Most of us fear rejection, or we fear failure. So our lack of vulnerability comes from the fact that we don't want to be rejected. We want people to like us. We don't want to be judged, and we don't want to fail. And we get to a place where we feel so rejected or so failure that we get paralyzed by our fear. And so we close off and we suffer in silence, because it's better, because we think in our mind, this is a lie, but we think in our mind, it's better to suffer in silence than to live out loud and be rejected. When not realizing that if I live out loud and I just show my stuff, or I show to the right people and I share the story, how many people's lives could be changed because I had the courage to stand up and be open about my struggles, right? So with the vulnerability thing, we're afraid of feeling vulnerable because ultimately underneath all of those feelings, we are afraid of being rejected, we're afraid of being criticized, and we're afraid of failure, right? So that's really where all that comes in. And that's a really great question. So I hope I answered that to its completion on that. I will do an extra video on why we struggle with fear. And a matter of fact, I'm going to tie it in on that video. Maybe we'll do our next live on this, on DISC personality. I do DISC personality, profiling. And guess what? Your personality actually plays into why you fear what you fear in the way you fear it. So we actually going to do a little bit of series on that. And I'm going to hope you're going to stick around and watch that. So let's get back to this. And at this moment, before we get down to the places of, shutting this down, we want to be able to answer your questions. So if you have any last minute questions, I want to invite you to ask them now. Other than that, I'm going to share one more thing with you guys. And I like this. Sean just replied, I like that. Live out loud and be rejected or suffer in silence. Absolutely. Absolutely. There we go with my brother right here. Great show as always, bro. Love you, man. I love you too, man. Shout out to you. This is actually my real brother. Even though he goes by Freddy Ruger on his channel, this is actually my legit flesh and blood brother. So I want to make sure we shout out to you as well. All right. So here's the deal, guys. I want you to journey together with you. So here is what I put in the comments. Here is what I'm putting in there. There is a thing. I could actually put this on the screen because I did this earlier. There is a guide that I want you to have. If you don't have it already, I want you to go to this link, and I'll actually put it in the comments. Boom, boom. Let's turn this off. There we go. I'm playing with this, so I'm having fun with it. If you are somebody who is looking to own 2021, if you're looking to get your goals set, if you're looking to really dig into winning the rest of this year, we're already at the end of February into March, and winning the rest of the year, then this is a guide that you're going to want, because this is going to help you own the rest of this year. All right, so head to this link. I will drop it into the chat. Head to this link, and what this really does is this is going to give you a free guide that is going to help you own 2021. And I just dropped it in the chat so you can see that in the chat. Go ahead and over there, grab a hold of it. And guys, we do this every single Friday. Listen, I'm going to say this one more. We always got to leave on the note where my wife is speaking, right? And on that note, we're also going to get there and be like, I'm loving this music, guys. All right, so let's see. What does the honey say? He says, amen, fear of rejection can be overcome with love. Look, she's so wise. She needs to be on this show. Love covers a multitude of sins. So when you find the person you can trust, you know they love you enough not to reject you. Yes, yes, and amen. I like that. So I'm going to say with what my friend Jessica over here said a little while ago. She said, yes and amen. We love that. So guys, you have been watching the Everyday Leader Live, and we're going to go out on some tunes. We're going to go out on some music this week. Listen to this. So guys, we do this every single Friday, 7 p.m. And I want you to know that on top of that, we do videos each and every week. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so, because the Everyday Leader Live is here for you, to help you to be a leader worth following. And as I asked you, do me a big favor. Hit the like button on this video, and it's going to help it get out to more people. And then also invite people to the channel. We do this every single week, guys, for you to be a leader worth following. So I just want to thank you guys, each and every one of you guys, for being on the show with me today. And look for next week. Look for the videos throughout this week as you turn that notification bell on. And then as next week comes rolling around, we'll see you the same time, same bat channel on the Everyday Leader Live on the Lead with Jim YouTube channel. So we'll talk to you next week.